All right, good morning. How is everybody? Happy Wednesday to all, and welcome to another Engineering the Markets. Hopefully, everyone's finding success in this market. Just a quick audio check. Looks like we are all set. All right. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get right into it. So, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. It is October 20th, 2021. Want to take a look at some ideas for the rest of the week and use a little bit of historical analysis, just kind of evaluating cycles in this market after a very impressive rally from the bulls over the past couple of days. So, as we all know, the SPY has been making sort of a recovery relief rally after a lot of corrective selling that we had in September. This rally, in some ways, was technical in nature, as we did have a breakout of our downtrend resistance, and we saw additional follow through once we formed our higher low sort of double bottom approach in the market, along with seeing some of that recovery inside of the NASDAQ, which took an additional session to break out, but is seeing some of the benefits of that upside momentum. Now, from this perspective, everything looks pretty good. And ultimately, we're looking at a lot of bullish behavior on these past couple of days, which has kept us on the right side of the market from an intraday perspective, essentially not fighting this relief rally too heavily and expecting the market to simply roll over. It's just not quite how markets tend to work. And oftentimes, larger drawdowns need to be facilitated by certain conditions. We'll look at some of those conditions in just a moment, but one thing I want to bring attention to is some of our conditions inside of volume. Now, with this relief rally, the idea is most traders seem to believe that in order to break certain resistance points, you need to have volume. And to a certain point, that is true. But oftentimes, when you have resistance or you have levels, areas in the market that need to be breached, the idea is that has that area been tested? And if it has not, the breach of that area often does not require the same sort of volume acceleration from the opposing side of the trade. So for example, when we were marking some of these swing lows, these are areas that the market hasn't really tested from below, albeit during our corrective selling, we did put in this sort of volume shelf that led to another swing low. And when the market was in this area, it was worth considering that, yes, this bullish momentum can pause, consolidate, and then lead to this breakout. But we sort of did that. We had a couple of days of balance and this engulfing 2-day pattern, which led to our next gap up, which occurred on yesterday's session. We're also in the midst of earnings. So amidst all of this volatility in the SPY in regards to the upside volatility, we are seeing some new information in the markets. And that's simply providing investors and traders with a bit of additional confidence, along with the fact that we're seeing our risk factors start to come off very precipitously. We know that we've looked at the VIX. Our volatility has been crushed quite dramatically from the highs. And once again, if you're looking for a hedge in this market, now is the time to start preparing for entering that position and obviously giving yourself enough time in order for a spike in volatility to be a profitable hedge or endeavor in your trade. We looked at the dollar, which over the past couple of days has been back to the downside. Now, it's worth mentioning that this is simply just a pull down back to a previous swing high on this index. And ultimately, we haven't closed below this level. So things are still a bit shaky inside of the dollar. But short term, and especially when it comes to relief rallies, markets certainly like to see that strength uh, leaving the dollar and basically quote unquote profit taking, or just a walk away from a risk factor. And then finally, our interest rates, which I brought up the 10-year futures in certain sessions just to show that we were hitting some very critical lows. These are lows we haven't seen since the end of March and the beginning of April. And over the past couple of sessions, we had a bit of a relief rally in this as well. Basically, an oversold condition, a responsive bounce at an appropriate level. And now you can see that we have lost this level, at least from the daily perspective. We have printed lows and closed below this level after testing it from the perspective of a back test. You can kind of see that on the shorter time frames as we have hit approximately the 130 prints on /ZN. So all in all, market was giving us an opportunity to allow for that relief. But as with everything, there are always two sides to a market. And as we continue to climb, I would say that for bullish perspective, momentum can start to wane. We're essentially seeing that the momentum of the market needs to be facilitated, often with a bit of consolidation, some sort of range compression, things like VPOC, which we noted past couple of days about 435. A move away from value is sort of that search for the market to find higher areas of value and basically to transact. And with the SPY, one thing that I was considering is, amidst all of this downside correction, is there a period in time where the market behaved similar to what we just saw? And I didn't really have to look too far, albeit the news cycle and the underlying conditions at the time were very different. All I had to do was go back about a year. And if you zoom back into this time frame here, make sure I'm grabbing the right range of time, we can start to see some similarities back in September and October of 2020. Now, as with everything, nothing is going to be one-to-one, but I want to bring this more as an example, a sort of practice in what can occur and essentially being prepared for this scenario. Now, we've seen the market break through the 50, and this was sort of that warning sign for the daily uptrend. Prior to this, every single pullback to the 50 had been bought. Every single correction to this moving average resulted in higher highs. And regardless of how fast that occurred, most of them were sort of V-bottom buys. The marketplace was in a very strong uptrend, which made it very challenging for downside momentum and shorts to really get anything going. You essentially had to take a little bit of heat near all-time highs and expect that correction to occur back to the 50, obviously looking for more downside eventually to occur. Now, back in September of 2020, this was also true. If you look and see how we ended October, the marketplace essentially gave us a buying climax, something where we were coming off of some pretty significant lows with the understanding that we were also recovering from the COVID crash. So the market was once again, in the sense of the daily, in an uptrend, and we were seeing pretty strong buying opportunities near the 50. We also had our sort of our crossing 200 starting to balance back out as we were recovering from the COVID low. So once again, very strong uptrend. You can see that as we started to climb, became very challenging for shorts in the market, essentially not seeing any correction and leading to this final overextension which led to a sharper downside move, basically a breach of the 50 for the first time, albeit we did test it for a few days. Now, the reason I bring this up is we can draw some parallels here. We could start by saying, well, when did the market get bullish again? I would argue that once we started to get away from this low and we see this strong impulsive gap, a lot of bullish momentum came back into this market. Took it a few sessions, but ultimately started to push away from this gap and had a very strong 1, 2, 3, 4 session to the upside. 4 trending days making higher highs and higher lows. Very notable. I want y'all to remember that as I move forward. Additionally, what occurred next? Well, as we were getting back to our previous highs, we have maybe some technical structure here, a bit of a gap that got filled very aggressively on the crash of the buying climax. And additionally, if we just simply draw some levels as to where the market topped on the corrective wave, we can see that it was fairly close to the previous high, sort of drawing in the maximum amount of buyers, thinking that this was going to just continue higher and basically negate all of this selling. So as we look at this scenario, what occurred next? Well, obviously we drew back down to our 20 and 50. Market was maybe trying to reestablish a bit of an uptrend in the sense of the daily. And then of course we saw more selling pressure and more higher volume lows all the way back down to retest some of our relative lows on the correction in September. So just looking at this range as a whole and sort of the price action that was being interpreted, what are some things that look very similar? Well, we can look at these 4 days to the upside. We can actually see that the volume was rising into this buying, basically this upper test, the second test of a previous buying climax. And as this volume was rising, we saw the market put in a potential pivot. Now, when we talk about pivots, I usually refer to very simple pivot structures here. I've gone ahead and used this study for a few sessions before, and all this study is doing is showing when these candles are having higher closes than the previous candle, and additionally, whenever these candles are starting to break that structure. So you can see that we had 3 sort of momentum candles, higher highs, higher lows, no real concern from the bulls as we kept printing new price exploration. And then of course we get what's often referred to as a previous day close or sort of close pivot. This study is trying to show that with something like this yellow structure here. And how this pivot forms is based on dailies. So regardless of how strong the previous day or previous uptrend was, the pivots will simply show whenever we start to breach the previous close, and then of course a confirmation showing that we're losing both lows or both closes, excuse me. So looking at where we are in the market and just shifting things back to our current time frame, there are some similarities here. We're seeing 3 to 4 days of continual upside. Basically, the market has not even put in a very simple balance intraday or even range-based day pivot because we have not yet tested previous day close. We haven't necessarily seen any risk from the daily perspective. This one here had that risk because we gapped down. But on this gap down, the impulsiveness and momentum through our resistance point was so strong, at least impulsive in that way, that we saw another gap up high. Now, shifting into our normal studies here, let's just look at volume profile. Let's take a look at something like where we are in the past 90 days and how far we've gone. We know that the market had a very strong value zone around 435. In this case, 434 is showing because I'm bringing in additional data. And as we see from a 90-day perspective, we've already breached the VA high. So in the interest of shorts, usually the advantage is to be looking more bearish as we start to break through these highs, with the understanding that we're looking for not necessarily a complete downside move, just a return to normal, a return to value, one of the shelves of interest as a downside target, with our main target and sort of the most advantageous target being VPOC. Once again, if I just bring it to a 30-day, the image looks about the same. We're getting into levels that we, at least in the context of short term, we haven't seen in the past 30 days or so. And the extension of the market can lead to that possible pivot structure forming. Now, what are some things that may give us clues as to whether or not this can occur? Because we're just looking at the S&P here, and we are, of course, within earnings season. So, of course, a lot of this can be thrown out the window with strong reactions to our larger market cap earnings. But one thing that we might want to consider is, what did the NASDAQ do during that same time? I'll bring it back to just a 2050-200. I'll move it back in time. Gotta get more data in here. And let's look at that same analysis that we did to sort of anticipate a bounce in the NASDAQ, that same channel structure. Once again, noting that during sorry, not that one, this one. So this buying climax high, the end of August, beginning of September, the larger downside move, setting up the highs and lows of this bullish channel that we've been in for a while, and so far has been respected. And doing that same basic analysis, just kind of noting that the size of this correction was more aggressive. We have a bit of a deeper slope on the resistance point of the downtrend. We also see that the breakout was accompanied with volume, but similarly, as we start to climb, we also find some resistance near previous highs, basically near some of the top end of this relief rally. What occurs here is that we see the momentum wane. We get maybe at least a volume signal in this case, and then we see a pullback once again down to our channel, which at the time had not been established. So understandably, this low might have been a bit more challenging, as we were retesting lows here and ultimately did not have that sort of technical channel to believe in. That channel was, of course, established over the past year, and so far has been a very clear buying opportunity off of the NASDAQ for short to medium term upside, which so far continues to be true. Now, when we look at that posture here, we know that the NASDAQ is very sensitive to rising interest rates. So it can also behoove us to look at what's occurring in something like the 10-year during this time frame, and sort of anticipate the idea that if interest rates are providing pressure in the NASDAQ during this relief rally and this sort of back test of lows, then potentially what we're seeing in the 10-year now, which is additional downside, might provide that sort of short-term pressure to lead the NASDAQ to retest, or ultimately to correct further down than people are anticipating. Understandably, the confirmation here being that if we hold trend and move higher, this negates this action. Essentially, if the moving averages provide support once again on this relief rally, which we're trying to do currently, then that can sort of negate the potential short idea. Now, so let's go back to our interest rates. We'll just look at the 10-year here. And let's take a look back at what's occurring in September and October. You'll notice that the interest rates in the 10-year had been suppressed for a long period of time. During September, we really didn't see any price action here, or at least any volatility. But look what's happening in October. We're starting to get a bit of an acceleration here. And as October nears its end, we're actually seeing rising interest rates. So even something like a weekly or monthly will just show that that period of time in October was a bit of a bullish month in something like the 10-year, which means as we go to our bond market or our ZN in that time frame, shift it back to October, we could see our bearish candle here. So something to consider, we're not in the same posture, we're not near highs, nor are we necessarily going to completely fall apart in this market as we are nearing some potential range support. But we do have a bearish overall month in the period of October. And if this downside pressure continues, or if there is additional volatility inside of our earnings, then we could see the NASDAQ sort of take a second leg and basically retest some of these lows that we've come from, even with the strong impulse to the upside. Essentially, the bulls would be giving up a lot of ground, and what we need to see first is something like a pivot. So once again, I bring up this study just showing that it is very challenging to short a market whenever every single day you're making higher highs and higher lows. And from the perspective of daily closes, you are printing higher daily closes. The bulls are in complete control. There's no issue with the longs here because we haven't even attempted to pivot. We haven't even tried to put in higher ranges, and these ranges have not broken down. So very challenging to step into this momentum short. And until we see that, it actually doesn't really make much sense to do so early. Because if our goal is to see a correction for a retest of the lows, then we have enough time to wait. And essentially, we don't want to be at poor price levels. The market continues to push. We may even get a better opportunity closer to all-time high. All I have to do is pull up a weekly just to show that this weekly pivot here, this sort of 2-week balance zone, as we come to test it, may be the zone to consider. Anything within roughly the 376 to 381, about a $5 range in the NASDAQ. Now, this is just a practice round, essentially a way to analyze what's occurring and prepare yourself for what may eventually repeat. Markets tend to cycle. They're not one-to-one, but they often like to sort of retest, reapproach things that have been confirmed in some way. And market participants like ourselves need to be ready for that. We need to be nimble enough to understand what may be occurring, and then early on to prepare ourselves for the function of what happens during those corrections. So one idea, of course, is to always be considering a downside hedge. Something like a VIX spread is a very simple way to get some exposure to upside volatility, preparing yourself if the market does wish to correct. Additionally, as we are looking at the NASDAQ as one of our more weak or slower to recover indices, this may be something that has better downside, basically where you want to focus short. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the NASDAQ or the Qs. You could be looking at particular stocks. One example is to just look at stocks that haven't really made the same recovery. You know, to me, I saw a bit of a buying opportunity in Facebook from this low. Very sort of simple technical bounce, bullish pin bar off of a clear area of support, something that we've seen in the past. But these bounces can be given back very hard. And these bounces do not necessarily need to make new swing highs. They're simply just a corrective wave, you know, trying to catch a pullback with good risk to reward. So you can be looking at the communication sector in general, which is having a bit of a challenge recovering. And some of our stocks in this sector are ones that have been relatively weak, Facebook being the prime example. You could be looking at stocks that maybe have gone a bit too far and are ready to profit take. Now, yesterday, we talked a little bit about Tesla And the fact that everybody's bullish into this move, but it's always worth checking your backside mirrors, basically checking where we've come from. And if you note, this 880 level, which I've marked on the screen, is the highest weekly close that Tesla has ever had, which means from a technical sense, 880 is resistance. It is not 900 because each of these prior weekly tests did not have a strong close above this buying climax. Therefore, if you took this to heart on yesterday's session, you would note that 880 was the highest print that we had in pre-market, essentially giving you a very clear area to consider getting short. And this is short one of the strongest stocks in the market, basically the highest momentum market cap name that we have. You could have still stepped in short. This is very simple technical analysis at play. I was one of the traders in the room taking Tesla short. And while I didn't capture most of the downside, I would say that if you were early in pre-market or confident in this level, you could have captured some of that move as well. Now, one thing to consider here is the likes of Tesla as we are about to enter its earnings. If we see Tesla basically disappoint, or we see a lot of profit taking from this very explosive move, and ultimately we are at technical resistance, so kind of makes sense to consider this idea as a possible profit taking event. What are some downside moves inside of Tesla? We could be looking something as simple as previous swing highs, and that of course would hurt the NASDAQ if that did occur over the next couple of days, if into next week. We could also look at Tesla's expected move, which we did yesterday for Netflix. Currently, Tesla is sitting with about a $45 expected move. Now, we are opening a bit lower than yesterday's session. Once again, that pivot idea, the fact that the daily has pivoted at resistance, and the momentum is starting to wane slightly. So looking at this expected move, if we get earnings, the earnings disappoint, noting that Tesla can draw down $45 from its close today, and that would be within normal expectations of this stock. So that downside and what that would do to the NASDAQ is sort of the idea behind whether this market could pivot lower. And obviously, this is going to be one of the first stocks to prove whether that is going to be something that comes to fruition. Now, we also looked at Netflix yesterday. Bit of a nothing sort of event. There was a ton of volatility into the earnings. And if you look at a very short time frame, we actually sort of pulled down into our close after the earnings was announced. Now, we are seeing a bit of a fade. And the understanding here is that on the end of the week, the expected move for Netflix is still set at approximately $35 to $40. We saw about 38 near the close yesterday. So that means that even though the earnings is over, there's still a lot of option risk that's been defined at that expected move. We closed at about 640, so you want to be thinking something like 600 to 605 to the downside, and then of course to the upside about 675 to 680. So obviously with where we are, looks as if they're kind of fading off of this earnings. It's always worth also marking the highs and lows of the earnings itself, and then just kind of seeing if we get that technical breakdown, something like losing our general uptrends on shorter time frames, or even something like a breach of a previous low can provide the downside pressure to test something like those 600 price levels. Now, as I sort of conclude this analysis for today, going into a market like this is a bit more challenging than what we've seen, simply because a lot of market participants take what's already happened and use that as their bias. They see bullish momentum and they immediately think that the only advantage that they have is to the long side. Once again, we are technical and nimble traders. We're day and swing for the most part. We also have options and different tools in our tool belt to take advantage of different parameters in the market. Now, as the market was drawing down, we had very clear opportunities to be long, essentially to take advantage of a bounce. That bounce does not have to get us to all-time highs on the first attempt, but that bounce had very clear risk to reward. We had parameters in our studies and our technicals that indicated that we may get a recovery here. And then, of course, the momentum comes in once we break trend. Essentially, being at the lows or being close to the lows is the advantage of risk to reward, but the momentum comes when we get technical breakouts and breakdowns. That's where you want to be prepared as an aggressive buyer versus a conservative buyer, which waits for that breakout to occur and oftentimes is actually waiting for the back test, which doesn't necessarily have to come immediately after the breakout. But in that same vein, as we just saw, the market has given us clues back in time that these strong momentum pushes will often have strong back tests. And these back tests, once again, sort of trick and trap, fool and frustrate bulls and bears alike because they think that the selling is over. They think that everything is hunky-dory, but under the hood, we still have our main value zone at about 435. And if you think about how the SPY could draw down into this price level, basically returning us to value before heading higher, that becomes basically a move back into lows over the past last week, basically before we broke out. So think about how that can affect you. Think about your portfolio risk, whether it be to the upside or the downside, and simply use this example as a way to consider a possible thesis. One thing I would look to do is maybe step in light on a short position once we get a daily pivot and simply risk something like near the all-time highs. Using options, of course, this can be risk defined, but if you're using shares or using certain candidate stocks to find these short opportunities, of course, the risk parameters are going to be a bit different. To me, looking at more the weaker sectors and weaker stocks within those sectors, as opposed to trying to short strong names, the likes of Tesla, which we just saw, those are more likely to draw down with a catalyst and profit taking. So it might be a little bit of a different type of short if it does occur. So with that said, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. Different way to view the market, different sort of thought process, but understand that this scenario is something we've seen. We have history for it. And as technical traders, we're using price history and previous seasonal cycles to understand what to expect moving forward. So be prepared for that. And ultimately, if it doesn't happen, and if you're most biased long, this market should be testing all-time highs relatively soon with this momentum. And at that point, we can look at different theses on pullbacks. So trade safe, take care, and we'll talk more tomorrow.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hope you had a great day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. Welcome back, my friend. How you doing today? I believe you might be on mute.
Yep. Hey, buddy. I'm doing great.
Oh, I
How are
still
you?
can't hear you. Maybe it's on my end. Oh, it's on my end.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
There you go. No, it was my end first, and then your end.
Oh,
I
perfect.
uh, I forgot how to work this thing. It's been a while. No, doing well, man. Doing well. Glad to be back. How are you?
Good, man. Doing very good, very good. Today's a special day. It's my mother's birthday, so
Very
after
nice.
this, I'll go spend the day with her. Should be a whole lot of fun. So, all right, guys, let's get into it. Gappers list this morning a little bit more manageable than what we had the last couple of days. Right, it's been a bit of madness there. So a little bit more manageable this morning. So far, we know how fast and quick this can change. We'll take a look at some of the stuff we had on our list yesterday, starting with Mara. Mara, guys, just again, very nice drop here at the open. Found a beautiful base, a nice double bottom. If you were paying attention to this here, takes off nicely, guys, and just look how great this run was all the way up to the high of the day. That's an amazing run. And really could go high of the pre-market, not so far from that. Does stall here a little bit. You get a little drop towards some moving averages, and then again runs up towards the new high of the day, and then breaks out again. So some pretty nice, good moves here on Mara yesterday. It was very, very active. Baba, it had a little bit of a shuffle at the start of the day, and then a nice engulfing pattern here towards the bottom, and then you got this pop here that just takes off, guys. Again, it wasn't anything crazy. It didn't shoot up right away, but the entire day is just very, very strong here, holding on to the 9 and the 20, and just continues to break a high of the day all the way up to 177, guys. This thing opened up around 170. So you got a $7 move the entire day. It's just incredible move there by Bob. It did trade very, very well yesterday.
Just while
Macy's, you
we're
got
doing
in.
this, while you're
Hmm?
going through that, I want to call
Yeah.
out RDUS. It just popped up on the Gapper. Started moving about 4 minutes ago,
All right. What we got
and
here?
it's
R
trucking. DUS.
RD DUS. Okay.
Yeah, this was not
Oh
on the
yeah, yeah.
Gappers
We got an
5 minutes
active
ago,
one
and it's
here for
starting to.
sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very active, guys. 350. We'll get the news on that in a second if there's anything, but definitely cranking right now. Heading back to Tesla, guys. Tesla, here we go. Let's get yesterday's action. Uh, didn't have a great pre-market activity, and at the open, I know we have this drop here, but this drop wasn't clean. I mean, it was very hesitant to give you a good continuation. Eventually, it did drop. It didn't recover as well. Some other stuff that we had on deck. Apple was one of them that, again, tough open here. The first 30 minutes, a lot of back and forth action. Eventually breaks the high of the day nicely here, and you get a beautiful continuation on Apple. The second half of the day, not as clean, but a nice pop there on Apple. So again, a lot of things you could play, guys. We had Neo also, which was very active as well. AVAR was wild. But it did manage to run right all the way from 11 to about 1650, so that was nice there. And we had again just a lot of stocks that traded very well yesterday. So, all right, guys, let's take a look quickly at the market pulse. What do we have going on for today and this week?
Well, quiet this morning, actually.
Yeah.
Had a few good days coming into today. I'm not going to rehash everything that Jared went through, but flat-ish this morning. We'll see how it opens and goes throughout the day. Beige book 2 o'clock and a couple of Fed speakers sprinkled in, so nothing huge going on as far as economic data.
All right. Thank you, Norm. Let's get to our list this morning, guys. So we're going to remove our stuff from yesterday right over here. Control A, Control X, clean this up. We're going to add right away our DUS. What's going on? Oh, yep. I know exactly what's going on. We need to link our trade ideas here. So let's do that. External linking. Link this thing up right over here at link. There we go. And we should be set. And let's just bring
You just
back.
closed it.
Yeah, for some reason it minimizes automatically when I do that, which is weird. But here we're back. Our DUS guys definitely in play.
Fundamentals window is not, though.
Oh yeah, let me bring that back. No, this is not a low flow, right? It's a
No, it's not
47.
46, 47 million.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Uh,
but they had some positive phase 3 trial results. So on a breast cancer treatment that
mhm.
just came out a couple of minutes ago. That's what's got them up 41% at the moment.
Yeah,
So, wild
they're,
ride.
they're
Be careful. It
yeah.
moves.
They are cranking, guys. Very careful. It is not a low flow, but I am going to put it on here, guys, because it's
It
moving like
trades
one
like
today.
one.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's moving like one today, so you got to be very, very careful. LMDX, horrible price action right now in the pre-market. You got this pop and
Yeah.
this drop. That is no good. We'll skip on
We
to
got
the
a
next
couple
one.
of these that suck this morning. LMDX is out of the UK, trades terribly.
Yeah.
The next one, VALN, is French, also terrible.
Yeah, that's not good at all. HX, another low flow here. Well, not another one. Yes, another one actually. 2 million shares flow, and this one is gapping up 8.3. Again, you got this initial pop very early on. Then you got this kind of like drip all the way down back to where it started from. This is not a good pre-market action for low flow stocks, guys. I don't care if they have 1 million, 2 million, 3 million.
It's huge too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been 25, 30 cents on a $10 stock.
Yeah.
That's 2-3% move. You got to get just to recapture your entry position. So
yeah, this is not good. Don't get fooled by the volume and the 8% here. Under the hood, this thing looks horrible. So we'll skip on to the next one. TIGR had a couple of good days on here this morning. They're up 2.7, 657. Might be worth putting as a possible for now. I only put it as a possible because I am not a big fan of it. So it takes a lot for me to put this on my main list, but it's got some movement this morning. AVAR, a nice pop yesterday after such a big drop. This thing was down 70%, guys. So kind of, a lot of us in the chat when we're saying it has nowhere to go but up after something like that, right? So the end of the day, pretty decent. This morning, they got a nice pop of 3%. They were down about 3%, now up in the green area, 3%. I think this will be in play for some time. You just got to be careful with this one, guys. It can move very wild at times. And we saw yesterday, Andrew had a very, very tough time. Watch his recap on how he did not trade and manage this one correctly. He eventually did. He flipped his mindset and was able to, have an amazing trade on this. But just goes to show you how big psychology is. No matter how long you've been trading, how experienced you are. Yesterday his mindset got a little bit away from him on the AVAR. Yesterday his recap does an amazing job of showing that. ME is next, and ME not looking any good. 100,000, 5.4. No, not what we want to see this morning. BABA, wow. BABA is up 2.8, 788,000. I mean, I guess when the government is not pushing this thing down or playing against its companies, it can do very well. So no news is good news. I'm saying that if the government is not pushing down on their Chinese companies, they can actually do pretty decent.
Jack Ma's traveling outside China, which is the news popping these.
Yeah.
Just that I guess he's allowed to is a good thing.
That's a good thing. Yeah. That is. BABA, guys, up 2.8, 794, almost 800,000 here. Had a big day yesterday. Possible continuation today, looking very nice. TIGR, we looked at already. OCGN, this is one that a lot of members do like. 2.5 right now, 627,000. Daily's a little funky here. I'm not sure. Possible next to TIGR for now. Okay, so we got through our gapping up list. Gapping down, we only have two NVAX, which is, again, it could be a very difficult stock to trade. But this morning, they are down 23%. So that is a nice drop. I think it's worth taking a second look at here. The spread's not bad this morning for the way this stock trades, about 20 cents or so.
What's up? You got to watch out. It trades like it moves. You got to be really careful. There's news of manufacturing problems for their COVID vaccine is the issue there. So,
all right, so not a good catalyst.
Managing risk on that ticker is difficult.
Yeah, guys, look at the pop here, 128, right? 122. So you do not take a lot of shares in this thing if you're going to trade this. If you're brand new, if you're just starting out, and you're new to this is one you want to avoid, completely avoid. And actually, you know what? This, although it is not a low flow, I'm going to put it here next to R dust because it is a very, very, very risky stock, as Norm just mentioned. So just want to be careful, guys, here on this one. It is in play. There's no question. It could be tough to trade, but you got to be very careful. BBig, down 12% this morning. What's going on here? Anything good happening? At the moment, pre-market's got some great volume, 4.7, down 12.1.
CEO and CFO resigned. I don't know what else is going on there. This thing is a weird ticker and good business, but yeah, that's no bueno.
Yeah, that is not good. We do not have shares for short on this one, unfortunately, with Interactive Brokers. It is on short selling restriction. I'm gonna put it here for entertainment purposes. Let's see what's going on here. Both CEO and CFO, you said, resigned. That is never good. So down 25%. I'm sorry, down 12%. They got a bit of a, if this is correct, of a higher short float here, interest, 25%. So a little bit on the higher side. Maybe we might get some movement out of that.
I can't stand this ticker.
Yeah,
So.
I know, I know you hate this one, man. And rightfully so. It is a ticker that it had like 3 good days. I think 1, 2, and probably 3. That's it. The rest has been pretty bad. It looks like a couple of days ago we had a nice little pop here, but I just didn't trust it. I didn't have it on my list neither during that time. Norm, anything you like so far this morning?
I mean, RDUS is the one I like that I called out earlier. So I'll stick with that for the moment. And if I see something else, I'll mention it as well.
Gotcha. Thank you, man. Arda's looking very good right now. Not a low flow stock, guys, but we do have it here because it is risky. You got to be very careful. Let's take it to the room, starting with, what do we have here? Mr. T, TLRY. What we got going on here? TLRY this morning. Let's see here. Right now, 975,000. They got some volume. Big pop yesterday, guys, here. Had a nice day. Ended well. Possibly a continuation on this one. I'm going to put it as a possible. As we're below the previous day close. Hopefully we can manage to, we have a nice base here at around 1150. Hopefully we can manage to get above this here and go green. For continuations, we want to see it like AMD did the other day, right? It had a great day and it was hovering above the highs of the previous day, right? So it was hovering right here on 12, let's say this was AMD. That's a better sign here for a possible continuation, showing strength into the next day. TRY a little bit down this morning, but we'll see if we can get something going here. B big is no good. We have it here as possible. There is movement here. You know, we'll see where it goes. AVIR. Yeah, we have this one already here. Yeah, this one was actually had a good open yesterday. Towards the long side. Mara had a great day yesterday as well. Continues to just crush it here, guys. Look at the run on the daily. They're definitely extended, but they're finding ways to continue to break new highs on the recent daily chart here. So right now, 240 pretty much was down about a couple of percent here, not in the green or trying to stay in the green. Might be worth taking a second look at here. Did trade very clean at the open yesterday. PENN, this one we've seen before. Pen, it doesn't trade very well, guys. The volume is extremely light on the daily, even when it has great moves. Like look at this move here. This goes from 70, what is it, 73, 75, all the way up to 80. That's a $7 move, and we're doing that with only 10 million shares. Again, that kind of tells you what the price action is going to be there. It could be a little bit funky, but probably not the best spread. Right now, you're not seeing a great spread, about 30 cents almost on the spread at the moment. MU right now, what do we have here on MU? MU at the moment down 1.3, 236,000 shares traded. You know, the daily looks interesting, but I don't think it's really in play. Is there any news on Mao on MU? I mean, I don't see anything that looks great on it besides the daily. I know they had a chip shortage issue, right? Going back here, that's what causes some of these bigger drops. But outside of that, I'm not seeing anything overly great here on this one. Heading on down, CCI. CCI? No. Did you mean CCL? Because this is a no. CCL? Is that what you meant?
I think they're calling out CCL.
Oh, okay. So CCL, again, we've seen better. Man, look at the hit they've been taking. We've seen better pre-market action from them, but possible continuation. The daily definitely is taking a hit here, guys. We just continue to drop on CCL. Not a great pre-market.
YouTube, thank you. $5, breast cancer research.
Oh, John, there you go, my friend. Yes, thank you very much, John, for that $5 bomb. Going to support, let's get you in here. There we go. Going to support breast cancer for this month. Appreciate you very, very much for that. Thank you. All right, so CCL, possible for now. Let's head on down here. RDUS is good. What else do we have? FCell this morning, 766,000. Again, the volume is there. It's down 2.4. You guys know how I feel about this one. I'm not a fan at all. I'll put it on here for now. We'll come back to this. Heading down, AMD. Oh, I skipped you, Lori. I'll come back to you right now. But AMD at the moment, you know, AMD's been fun to watch, guys. It really has been. Let's put it on here. It's been trading very well the last couple of days. Here is Tesla. Tesla is good too. Tesla is very nice. And Lori's also giving us Microsoft. We'll take a look at Microsoft. Also has been trading very well the last couple of days. We are up nicely here. On the daily, again, a little bit extended, but nice pop. All-time highs for Microsoft? I believe we are. Yeah, I believe we are all-time highs for Microsoft. That's
Peter,
looking.
Thank you. Once again, another $5. $10 because Andrew gets to throw in 5 too.
That's right. Peter, thank you so much for helping us empty out Andrew's pockets. We appreciate that very much. He's going to match dollar for dollar for the charity of the month. So thank you for that. I appreciate you very, very much. And also for the constant support, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. We saw a couple of downgrades. Is that on MU, Mao? Okay, a couple of downgrades. We'll see, because if they're getting downgrades on MU, plus their daily does look a bit on the weaker side, right? It could be interesting. Maybe possible. See how that plays out when the volume actually comes in. MU doesn't have much going on right now. Okay, let's stop here, guys. Let's take a look over on YouTube. What do we have? Any tickers on here that we can look at? Let's start with Davis Smith. Davis Smith, what are you doing on YouTube, my friend? That is David from Connecticut. He's giving us MU, but what's going on, man? You can't get into the chat. Dave is a longtime friend of ours. Norm and I, we met him up in New York a couple of times.
It comes to every meetup we have anywhere, within 1,000 miles of Connecticut.
He went up to Canada, right? I believe.
Whatever. Yeah, he was in Montreal.
Yeah, very good guy, man. So he's hanging out on YouTube today. MU this morning. Yeah, so David, I like MU on the daily. I think it needs to get going a little bit more. We'll definitely keep an eye on it, see what happens there. AMD we do have. Yes, that's good. Thank you, Sakaria. BKR, what is this one? No. BKR is no good, guys. Again, it's just got no volume, no pre-market action, Brian. So we're gonna have to skip on that one for now. CAN, I don't see a whole lot going on. TRY seems to have a little bit of more action. At the moment, they had a great day yesterday, so I'm gonna keep my eyes on this one when it comes to that one. Let's take a look at Apple this morning. Not looking great, lighter volume than usual, but Apple's been another one that's been fun to watch, especially as they're getting this little bit of a bounce here. So we'll keep an eye on that. RDUS we do have. If it's already on here, guys, we are going to review it again in much detail. So RDUS definitely in play, guys. I mean, this thing is up 33%, giving some back right now. So we'll see. Hopefully we can find a base here, but 1.7 million shares traded. Again, not a low flow, guys, sitting at 47 million, but you do need to be careful with that one. So please be mindful of your share size. Netflix this morning. Any news on Netflix? I saw a couple of you guys throwing this out, but I am not seeing anything great in the pre-market right now. So that's the reason why I probably won't be adding it. Earnings, when is the earnings happening on? Oh, you know what?
Yesterday.
Last night. Yeah, Jared did mention this earlier today. So last night, man, not doing a whole lot though today. So pretty quiet pre-market action after earnings. We'll have to see and wait if the market open does anything. I'm not going to add it to my list, guys, because I'm just not seeing anything interesting right now for Netflix. BB, I saw a couple of you guys throw that out. Also, someone earlier threw it out as well. Let's take a look here. Jay, you threw that out. BB this morning, 315,000. I'm just not seeing anything great. Had a great day yesterday. How about AMC? Do we have anything going on there? No, not much going on there. BB has a possible continuation. Outside of that, I'm not seeing anything that looks interesting right now. Pretty quiet in the volume too. Only 315. We'll have to see. This is a good one for the scanners, guys. Let's wait to see if the scanners can pick this one up with some good volume and movement on here. VALN, I believe we looked at this. Yes, it wasn't our gappers. I mean, look at this, guys. I mean, do you want to have this on your list? I mean, it's terrible. You do not want to have this on your list.
I mean, that's why we don't trade European companies very often, is because usually that's what they look like.
Exactly. These foreign and typically foreign companies, they have this very, very bad. This one is exceptionally worse than what we've seen, right? Foreign companies don't trade very well. A few of them, TSM, you got a bunch of them that just don't trade well. Okay, cool, guys. Let's stop here. I think we got a pretty decent list so far this morning. We could definitely pick some off here that are going to be looking nicely. We are actually going to, Norm, I don't know if we updated the announcements. But we're going to go to the website.
Not today, but I saw yesterday. I popped in at the last second and saw you guys going through them, and they look like they had them. We'll go through the website. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, we'll go to the website and do that to show you guys what's the latest and greatest coming to our community. So let me just get this over here for you guys. And the way you can find this, guys, if you want to do that over on YouTube, if you don't know, go over here to webinars. And then you can scroll down. You can see what's coming up for the week, right? 2 weeks ahead. So every Monday, our tech class. And here, I'll let Norm run with it. We got our strategies on, success webinars on Tuesdays.
Yeah, so success webinars. Next Tuesday we've got Kyle. Wow, talking about important metrics to journal. So our tech guru on the team is going to be going over that. That's Tuesday 8 p.m. And then Wednesday tonight we've got Nada talking about creating a successful mindfulness meditation routine. Next week we've got a new special guest, Andrew Menaker, talking about techniques to improve your trading psychology. As we mentioned earlier, all super chat, super sticker donation revenue and the donations on the site are going to be matched dollar for dollar for October and given to National Breast Cancer Foundation in honor of all our wonderful BBT ladies. If you want to participate in the BBT member trade of the day or trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trade with entries and exits on it. Add as much commentary as you can, post it on Twitter, tagging at Bearable Traders, at MikeB_BBT, and at NormBBT. Also use hashtags BBT Family, Day Trading, and Stock Market. We'll pick a winner each day, announce on Twitter and in the room. And then all those trades of the day are eligible for Trade of the Week, which is voted on by the team over the weekend and announced on Monday. If you are watching on YouTube and you'd like to give the room a shot with no obligation, just go to bearabletraders.com. The homepage, scroll down, about halfway down, you'll see this test drive button. You can click that, use the promo code Premarket24. That'll get you a discount on the intro membership. That intro membership is 7 calendar days, 5 trading days. After you sign up that first time, it will not bill you again. It does not recur. It just cancels. You have to actively go choose another kind of membership if you'd like to continue on. And it also gives you access to the onboarding classes and tech classes we do live every Monday night, beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you would like to get access to all the success and psychology webinars and all the other content that we've discussed, you can use the promo code FALL40. It'll get you 40% off the elite annual membership. Kreda, how are you this morning?
I'm good, thanks. We missed you on Monday. Well,
yeah. I was busy moving my mother-in-law from a different state to here, which let me tell you, I'd rather have been here. But
that's a big task, all right.
Yeah, it was a very long weekend. I needed a break. But anyway, this morning we're talking about the growth mindset, and I'll just let you take it away.
Perfect, thanks. So we spoke about this a little bit last week in terms of when we were discussing self-compassion, and I mentioned the growth mindset was a good approach to take to help you to come back from mistakes. So I just wanted to give it its own little slot here because it's so worth it to actually speak about it in a bit more depth. And because this is Wednesday, we're applying this even more to your personal life and you, the person behind the performance, not just talking about it in the context of trading. And so Carol Dweck is a researcher from Stanford, and years ago she had identified this idea of the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And just to explain, so beliefs that we hold about ourselves can actually influence our actions, our kind of emotions, and how we deal with challenges, how we persist in the face of them, all of that. So just one belief that you hold within yourself can actually impact all of these things. And so a key belief that people, or that Carol Dweck found that people hold about themselves, is the belief as to whether their intelligence and their personality and their characteristics are fixed. So that's all something they were born with that they can't change, or if they're able to actually modify, adapt, and grow these aspects of themselves. So can you actually improve your intelligence more so than just, the level of intelligence you were born with? And so this is a difference in types of mindsets. And she did experiments, or her and other researchers did experiments, firstly with children, where they gave them jigsaw puzzles, and they gave them the option of choosing the difficult jigsaw puzzle or choosing the easy one. And the children with the fixed mindset chose the easy one because they wanted to demonstrate their intelligence. So it was an opportunity for them to show their intelligence, to get confirmation that they were intelligent, that they were smart, and to receive approval. And the children with a growth mindset actually asked for the harder challenges, the harder jigsaw puzzles, because that was how they were able to see an opportunity to learn and to grow. They were actually genuinely interested in challenging themselves. And so that's the growth mindset. And so it starts when we're children. And the basic difference between the two is people with a fixed mindset believe that their intelligence, their characteristics, their personality is all set. And so they go through life looking for confirmation that they're adequate, or that what they were born with is enough. And so they'll shy away from massive challenges where they have a potential to fail, because that's a threat to their self-concept. They also will perceive effort as being something that's kind of negative, because if you have to exert effort in order to achieve something, in the fixed mindset, it says that, you know, you weren't born with it in the first place. If you were born with it, let's say it's, I don't know, to solve some complex maths problem, if you have to spend a lot of effort to do that, well, that says that you weren't born with the natural intelligence to solve it quickly. And so for people with a fixed mindset, effort is actually seen as a negative thing. And so this obviously has consequences for how people approach challenges, how they feel about themselves. So it can actually impact our own sense of self-worth. And it leads to people constantly seeking opportunities to validate themselves, which, especially linking it to trading, is where you can actually find that you're engaging in revenge trading, or you have a real problem with losing, because when you lose, it's kind of telling you that you're not adequate enough. And so the opposite to that is the growth mindset. And this is a much more flexible, empowering approach to take to anything in your life. So the growth mindset says that, yes, we're born with certain levels of intelligence and certain characteristics, but all of these can be molded and shaped and changed and improved, and we can learn anything over time. So that's not to say that we can all learn to play music like Beethoven. You know, there are potentially some limits in there, but the idea is that you don't know the actual limits of your own potential until you put yourself in the arenas where you risk failure in order to give yourself the opportunity to grow. And so people with a growth mindset are much more likely to actually set higher challenges for themselves. So they set more ambitious goals, because they're not so much concerned about the fact they might lose face or they might fail and, you know, other people will see them fail. They're actually more interested in the growth rather than the validation. And so that allows them to take on more challenges. They also go into other areas where maybe they're not naturally skilled. So they, you know, they might find it harder, let's say, to do maths than to learn a language. And I'm just making these very simple examples, but obviously these can apply to much more complex areas of our lives. So if somebody finds it particularly difficult to do maths and easy to learn a language, that's not to say they should stay away from maths, science, engineering. If they had a real burning desire to actually carve out a career in this space, then they approach that with the growth mindset, and they understand that with enough time and effort, they're able to learn. And so this is something that even applies to our relationships, and they've done studies around this. So that's why I'm saying it's not just about trading. It's worth checking in with yourself to see, do I tend to have more of a fixed mindset or more of a growth mindset in general? Because with a fixed mindset, people approach relationships assuming that the person is either right for them or wrong for them. There's no need to grow, that the person should just understand them and they're a good fit or they're not. Whereas with a growth mindset, people approach relationships with the understanding that there'll always be challenges, that you'll need to kind of work through those things, and that the relationship can actually improve over time as you grow together and you sort out these challenges. And even the flaws that you perceive in yourself, the other person can help you to work on them. So even in our relationships, this can be a more helpful approach to take. And so what I would like to just give people a takeaway from today is consider whether you're more concerned with validation of your current skill set. So are you only seeking opportunities that reinforce what you already believe about yourself? And again, this would lead to seeking out opportunities or areas to work in where you don't have to receive criticism as well. because people with a fixed mindset would perceive criticism as being something that's, again, saying they're not good enough, as opposed to an opportunity for growth. So are you someone that is seeking opportunities to validate what you currently feel about yourself? Or are you someone who approaches life with this sense of curiosity and the knowledge that anything that you're not good at currently, you can actually become better at if you have the motivation and drive to do so? And it can also be that these play out in different areas of our life. So maybe we have a fixed mindset in one specific area, and in another area we apply the growth mindset. So it's worth looking at all the different areas of your life that are important to you and just ask yourself, am I searching for confirmation of what I already know about myself, or am I open to growth and learning? And the people who adopt the growth mindset actually end up being more successful, so the research says, and they surpass other levels of achievement of people with a fixed mindset, because they don't place a limit on the peak of their potential. They just go into the arena and they explore it, and then they find out where they land. And so combined with my advice around self-compassion from last week would be to say that really try and cultivate this growth mindset. It is actually something that you can grow in yourself. If you currently have a fixed mindset, of course, according to everything I'm saying today, you can actually shift that and turn it into a growth mindset. And so that's my advice, is just a bit of self-reflection to check in as to how this might be playing out in your life, and is it serving you?
It's an awesome discussion. Credit. We did have one question that I'll throw your way. Is, do you have any recommended books on this subject that somebody might be able to get and dive in deeper?
Yep, absolutely. So I actually have the name of it written down here, but Carol Dweck has a book exactly on this, and it's brilliant, really good, really easy read as well.
Okay.
So it's Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, and that's by
Gotcha.
Carol.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Creda. Hope you have a great rest of your week and weekend, and we'll see you next Monday.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you very much, Creator, for that. Guys, big thumbs up over on YouTube for just that amazing wisdom that we're getting every Monday and Wednesday. All right, let's flip it. It's, you know what? It is so good that I forget I'm presenting. I sit back, I start drinking my tea, and I'm just enjoying the message.
Lay back on your couch like you're.
Yeah, I should. I should have a couch right over here, and then I remember, okay, I got to flip back into let's get the pre-market show going. So just thank you so much for that, Creator. Appreciate it very much, guys. Let's see what we got going on here. Let's go over to AVIR today. This one at the moment, again, very active, was active yesterday. Let's see if that can continue. I'd like to keep this one here this morning. Such a big gap down. They did respond well yesterday. Let's see if we can get some kind of continuation this morning. Baba looking very good on the daily as well. We'll keep that one. Mara going back into the rest. We got some good activity on Mara as well. AMD a little bit lighter on the volume. I might take this one off. I think this can be a good possible for now. And we know for sure who will be watching this one, and we'll call something out if they see anything there. Here is Tesla. Tesla is interesting. And Microsoft, I love the daily. They're hitting all-time highs. You know what? They're a top possible. They could be a kind of a hit or miss at times. I don't see anything explosive right now in the pre-market, but that can change very quickly, as we know. So we got a few on here. Secondary list. We have Apple, which I kind of like Apple a bit better than Microsoft and AMD right now. MU here is okay. CCL, besides the drop and a possible loss of this area, I don't see anything huge on CCL right now. So I'm going to remove it even as a possible. Be big, it has the volume. They gap down here 13%. OCGN, I'm going to get rid of this one, guys. It's just the daily doesn't look great right now. So get rid of that one. TGIR, no, I don't like that one either. Let's get rid of that one. TLRY, this one has got the volume, possible continuation. We're trying to get into or stay above the previous day close here. Let's see if we can do that. This could be interesting. Yeah, I might want to move TLRY up to the main list for now. I think that can be probably one of the better ones with a cleaner opportunity if we can get running here, right? If we can get going, some kind of continuation. So All right, so that is we got a good secondary list. Here, guys, we got a couple of, they're not low flows, but they're risky stocks. NVAX, got to be very careful with this one. And we also have RDUS, which is not a low flow stock, but also trading on the riskier side this morning. Good spread right now, great volume, 2.5, consolidating at the moment. So I'm glad that we did not continue to drop here, right? We didn't get the drip where it comes up and it just starts dripping down. Next thing you know, we're back where we started. That's never good. We did get the pop here, but we're trying to hold. We're trying to hold this 2050. Let's see if we can do that. Going to test it one more time there, looks like. So that's decent. Let's do levels for these, and also for RDUS, we'll do levels for that as well. AVIR this morning, high of the pre-market. We're looking at 1441. So we'll slam a level there. And then towards the bottom low of the pre-market, we are looking at 1350. I see a couple of people asking for the book. We'll get the link. We'll text Creda, and we'll get the links for you guys before we hop off, and we'll share that with you. So I'm not sure if Norm is listening, but Norm, if we can get that link, I'm sure he is. We'll send that out to you guys. 1350. Anybody found? Oh, I see some people found it already. So let me just copy this right here. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that for sending that over. I'm just gonna go ahead, copy this, and share it with YouTube. Okay, yeah, I'll take this link right here. Thank you, Norm. All right, we're just gonna go ahead, copy and send that over to you guys. That's the book that Creda was referencing.
That's too many characters. I don't think it's going to go on.
It's not
there.
going through. Yeah,
I just said it. That's the title. If you just go to Amazon and Google Mindset, it's the first book that pops up. So
all right, perfect. Thank you, Norm. Yeah, I tried copying that in. That did not work. All right, guys, so we're pretty much set here. Highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. We got a nice range from yesterday after such a big drop from $10 to $16, right smack in the middle of this. Let's see where it goes. I like the pre-market activity this morning. We do have shares for sure. It is on short selling restriction, obviously, with such a big drop yesterday. Let's see how the market is going to open that one today. Here's BABA, guys. Great pre-market action, great volume, 1 million shares traded. Daily looks amazing. It's been on a beautiful run here the last couple of days. High of the pre-market, 182.45. The low of the pre-market, 179.62. Above this, we do have 185.95. Another one on there. And if we just scroll a little bit higher here, this is a good one too, 191. Again, I don't think we'll get here, but we've been having such great moves on this thing. I would not be surprised in the next couple of days if we continue this way. We can easily hit that 195. So a couple of levels towards the top here. You're all set there. Towards the bottom, previous day close below this, just in case we drop. I don't think that's the direction this thing wants to go in today. 174. 36. That's all I'm going to add here. It's a great level of resistance that can now become support, but we have to lose a lot of levels to get there. I don't think that's the direction we want to go in today. Here is Mara, guys. Beautiful daily. Look at the run since end of September here. It just has ran up pretty nice. Beautiful daily on here. The last 3 days has done very well. High of the pre-market at the moment, 54.43. If we scroll to the left here, do we have anything above this? Yeah, we do. We do. Right here in April, we do have a pop right there. Beginning of April looks like 57.70. So 57.70, a great area there of resistance, and we're just $3 away. Well, about $3 from the pre-market high was away from that level. So we'll see if there's any opportunity to head north there for Mara. Looking good right now. Volume is okay. We seem better. Let's hope the open can bring some volume in here. Here is Tesla. A little bit of a drop yesterday. Still very strong on the overall picture, guys. Look at the daily, right? So we gapped up. Yes, we sold off. I mean, you expect this. Look at the run we had, right? This thing has been just on a pure tear. Right now, we're up slightly from being in the red territory. High of the pre-market, 867, and I think that's all you need to add to this list. You have everything else here, highs and lows. You have your 880, which is going back to the left here on the daily. That's a good level as well. You're pretty much set. If you want to get fancy, you can mark down the low of the pre-market, 858.63. But I think you're set on Tesla this morning. TLRY, I like the volume. I don't like the fact that we're just wrapping ourselves right below the previous day close line, now right on it. But that's good. I'd rather see this struggle here to sell off and hopefully starts heading north. That is what we want to see. I'm going to remove some of the highs and lows. Actually, no, I'm not going to remove them because this does look good. 1224, we'll slam this down a little bit to the high of the pre-market, 1216. 1247 looks good. That's still in play there. 1286 definitely still in play. No problem there at all. We have that right over here. And we also have 1387 in case we decide to really take off here. Towards the bottom, this 1152, which is going to downgrade this over to 1144. Another level here as well. I like this one, 1108, in case we do drop, get a little bit of a rejection here. As we flirt with the previous day close line. Again, just trying to figure out what's next here for TLRY, and we do have volume to go along with it, so that's also good. At the market open, let's hopefully get some kind of direction on this. All right, so that's our main list right now. AVAR, BABA, MARA, Tesla, and TLRY, all with okay volume. Some of them just, in a point where they're trying to decide what to do next. Let's look at our risky pile. NVAX, low of the pre-market this morning, 116.25. Remember, guys, this stock is very, very risky. Please be very, very careful. 136.42 is the high of the pre-market. Nice gap down this morning. They're not doing well on some vaccine news there, so that's hurting them a little bit this morning. Another level on the daily, 142.15, and up here we have 153. And I want to show you why we're doing that, right? If we zoom in here, you can see the area of support and resistance, more support than anything right on there. Got a little bit of resistance here, and it's 136. You can see here as well. That's being confirmed a little bit here. That's your high of your pre-market, but you can see here you got a couple of days also using that as support, as resistance. And then towards the bottom, our pre-market low, 116, also being confirmed here on the daily as well, getting a little bit of a bounce there off that 116.25, 116.50. So pretty good, pretty set on that one. Let's take a look over at our RDUS situation. This thing, oh man, we're starting to sell off a little bit too hard here. We do have shares for sure. Just be careful. Let's see. I would love for this to hold here. This would be a perfect area for it to hold and do a nice little run up. But let's see. It's trying to hold that, which we're going to mark this down. This is 2053. Let's mark this down here. It's trying to hold that, stay above that. It will be good for them. High of the pre-market, 2482. If we move to the left, do we have anything interesting here? Yes, we do. We got a couple of stuff happening in the middle of this high in the pre-market action. 2266, we're going to mark that down. 2376 is good. And also I'm going to mark down, we have another one here, level support, resistance, 2143. Now guys, keep in mind, when it comes to these stocks, right, you see some of that playing nicely here in the pre-market action right now, right? You see 2143 from our daily level. That's playing nice. You see here 26, we did get a little bit of a hesitation there on 2266, right? That's off the daily level as well. And this 2050, although we marked it on the pre-market, you can see a couple of days using great support around that area. So not a coincidence, right? Maybe they're looking at this or not. But the price action is king when it comes to this, right? So don't be hung up, don't hold on to these levels, for dear life here. If you get a pop and you get to 2350, don't wait for 23.76 to take a partial if that's part of your plan. If you get a dollar move on this, that's a pretty good move. So again, these are an area. Be very mindful of that. And when they're lower, when they're not lower price, when they're moving like this, like a low flow stock, which this one is not, but it's moving like one, price action is king, guys. So make sure you're looking at that. Do not put too much weight on your daily levels. Very, very important when it comes to that. Okay, now towards the bottom, I'm going to put some levels here in case we are to drop off the daily. We do have 1940, very clean there. I'm just going to put the major levels. I'm not going to come in here and put minor levels. Major levels at 1940 and also 1790. You can see a lot of touches there. And what I like about this, you got a lot of change in direction happening there as well. So that's our dust this morning, guys. Let's see how that is going to play out. Let's see if we can hold this 2050. We want to see this above 2143 for a possible run. All right, let's take a look at our moderators lineup. Let's see what we have going on here, guys. 9:17, a couple of minutes here before the market open. Over on YouTube, as I am doing this, please smash that thumbs up. We appreciate you guys very much for doing that, and you'd be surprised how much that small movement on your side of your mouse does an amazing job for us here at our channel at Bear Boot Trader. So we appreciate it very, very much. Thank you for that. And for those that have smashed that already, thank you again for your continued support in doing that. Okay, here we have Mike Scanners. He's looking at the scanners to see what pops up. But right now he has BABA and Apple as potential. Tiffany is looking at BABA and VAX. Guys, very careful with that one, as we mentioned before. Secondary list, TLRY and MARA. Peter is looking at AMD, Apple, Netflix, and he has NVAX, BABA, and TLRY, which looks good today, guys. Jared, BABA, NVAX, RDUS. Secondary list, MARA, BitO, BTC, all-time highs, and also looking at Tesla for a possible choppy for earnings. When is earnings for Tesla? That should be good as well. We'll see what happens there. Brian, NVAX, Ardos, Oxy, SoFi, BTBT, and Dima is looking just at Apple. Guys, if you have not hung around in the afternoons, I see that Tiffany and Dima are on. It looks like to be every Tuesday. So guys, what time are they on this? It was like 2 o'clock. I heard them, I believe it was, maybe earlier. But I had it running in the background, and it's a great segment having the ladies, get on the mic there. So if you haven't had a chance to do that, make sure you stick around and catch them. Yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, TNT, man, that brings back great memories. TNT were our happy hour days back in the city. So good times, good times. All right, guys, that is what we have. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, well, buzzer beater. Here is Andrew with his list. NVAX, Baba, Ardas, and LMDX on his list. So that is the lineup for today, guys. Over on YouTube, thank you so much, guys. We will see you again tomorrow, 8 a.m., starting with Jared, Engineering the Markets. Tonight, we have our Psychology Success webinar by Nada, so don't miss that. It's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Take care, guys. Stay safe, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a good one, everyone.